how the Rockies have
digressed.
Yeah, not only does he sound angry, and it's because of things like what we've seen over the last few games. They've lost 4 of their 5 since the All-Star break. They've made incredibly stupid mistakes. Running back into the dugout with 2 outs left to go. Running into outs, not doing fundamental baseball. I mean, Walt Weiss coached, and this is something that Mark brought up in his column, Walt Weiss coached high school baseball for years, and he's like coaching a bunch of players who are acting like and playing like they're in high school. It's sloppy. And do you blame Walt Weiss for just this lack of execution on fundamentals like this? What is it?
Ultimately, I mean, I haven't heard this. Jim Tracy had 3 or 4 team meetings. And I finally said he had about the 5th one, where it was players only, and then he called meetings. And I said to Jim, really, do these like have diminishing returns? And he said, great question, you're right. After a while, it's, here's another meeting, I got to show up for it. I think that I haven't heard Walt Weiss have one meeting, because that usually gets out that Walt has to take more than his share of blame. We have stayed off of Walt. I mean, he has been universally respected here because he played there. He was assistant to Jim Agee. He lives down south of Parker. He's got a family here. He was coached out of Regis. Walt's got to shoulder this. He needs. I'm thinking he's making a mistake, but not coming out and saying, this falls on my shoulder. Have you heard him say that? There has not been one quote from Walt Weiss saying that's Clint Hurdle kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they got to play better.
I've been a defender of Walt's for all the reasons Woody stated, plus a personal relationship. But I think it's time Walt cracks the whip because they are playing. They are playing blame for some of this. Yeah, I agree. They are playing blunder-filled baseball right now. Everybody needs to know: bad baseball can be infectious. Good baseball can be infectious. Right now, it's not just bad baseball. The players just don't seem to have their heads in the game.
No.
Attitudes in part seem to have gone south. I'm hearing frustration from Cargo in the paper. I know Tulo's frustrated. We're seeing it after bad at bats. Walt needs to step up now, and I agree with Woody. He does need to take some responsibility for this. But the fact of the matter is, he's been given a bad roster, particularly on the pitching side.
Yes.
And that's not his fault.
But it's frustrating. I mean, you tie the game 8-8, and then you give up 2 runs, and you lose 10-8 to the Rangers.
Forgive me, in a sentence, it is his fault.
For not making the right moves?
No, because that was a big deal made at the beginning.
Because he and Bridich are joined at the hip now.
So, I mean, if he's really, as they claim, part of the process, not just manage, here are the guys, you manage them.
But he's not drafting and developing them.
But he's the manager, I'm the manager, and I go into your boy Bridich, and I go into Montford, and I said, if you don't get Drew Stubbs off this team, and I know he is my whipping boy, guy's hitting 150, still striking out all the time. I'm a manager, I don't want him anywhere near my team. I don't want him starting, I don't want him being a backup left fielder, I want him anything.
In Walt's defense, he's gone to Bridich and said, it's time for John Gray to come up, and Bridich just said no. So even though they are joined at the hip in some respects, he's not always going to get his way.
Yeah. Still disagreements.
Well, then what is the big deal about he's involved in it? Well, he's not.
Well, maybe not in every decision.
If he's trumped, then I'm the manager. I go, hey, you're supposed to.
Well, there is a hierarchy, Woody. You know that. There's a hierarchy in any enterprise, and that's the hierarchy with the Rockies.
What happens when that doesn't work out? I mean, you got to have the guts enough to say, you either let me make some decisions here or I quit. I mean, that's gutless wondering type kind of stuff where you just don't have the balls to actually do something. Grow a set, Walt. Pardon me.
Thanks, Dan. We'll go out on that note. Dan Petty, digital director of sports for the Denver Post. Check him out at denverpost.com. He writes a lot about the Tour de France, too.
In case you're curious.
Thanks, man.